Good morning, all of you. Welcome back to the course on cryptography and system security. I hope I'm audible and the open board screen is visible for all of you. Anyone can acknowledge in the chat box whether the screen is visible. The open board screen. Yes. Thank you, Riddhi, for your reply. You can stop responding and thank you for your acknowledgements. And during our previous session, we discussed about the symmetric as well as public key cryptography. So we have covered some of the portions belongs to the public cryptography concepts that we covered for the top test one also, right? Under the topic, we discussed about beginning of this chapter, we discussed about block cipher encryption technique. When you talk about this is a quick recap, kindly bear with me so that we'll recall the contents and then we'll move on to the actual topic of today's lesson, right? And when we talk about the block cipher, right? So which is completely opposite with symmetric cipher. When we talk about symmetric, where the encryption or decryption will be carried out bit by bit or character by character, right? I could say that only one bit character has to be encrypted, either encrypted or decrypted at a time. So that kind of technique which we call as a symmetric encryption, right? The other category is a block cipher encryption. When you talk about a block, it's a collection of uh, bits or characters which are we going to use for or we are going to use as a message, which might be the plain text or might be any other secret values, right? So when we talk about the block, depends upon the different types of encryption techniques, right? The block cipher, which may vary 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit, and 128-bit, 256, and this may vary till 1024, and so this may go on, right? So also we discussed about different block cipher modes of operation. Can anyone quickly write the different types of block cipher modes of operation? We studied about 5 block cipher modes of operations. I hope you remember. The first one is that electronic code book mode, right? Then cipher block chaining. Then cipher feedback. Then we discussed about output feedback. Then the last one which we discussed was the counter mode. And followed by we discussed about DES, which is data encryption standard. Also, we discussed about advanced encryption standard, right? So I'm not going to discuss detail about the AES as well as DES because already we covered these topics in detailed way through the different lectures as well as with the help of the practicals also, right? So then we started moving about public key encryption technique. And the switch on பண்ணுங்க phone and the mobile charge இல்ல பாருங்க public key cryptography. Uh, so with that we discussed about the major two things which can be achieved with the help of the public cryptography. The first one is confidentiality. The second one is secrecy. Sorry, this confidentiality or secrecy the same, and the second one is that authentication. So with the help of the public key cryptography, we can achieve any one of these. And under that, we discussed about one important technique, which is RSA algorithm, which is a reversed Shamir and Adelman algorithm. So with the help of this technique, right, how a user can transmit data in a secured way with the help of the public key cryptography. When we talk about a public key cryptography, both the sender and receiver will have a pair of keys. Out of that, one will be used as a private, and the second one will be a public key cryptography. Again, when we talk about the public key, how the public key can be distributed? Distribution of public keys. So also we discussed about the 5 techniques through which public announcement and publicly available directory and public key authority and followed by a certificate authority. So these are the 4 different techniques through which a user can publicly distribute their public key to other users. When we talk about the term public, it's a key which can be commonly known to all other users who are involving in communications. So that is called a public key cryptography, right? So I hope the recap, which might be very clear for all of you. If you have any queries regarding the same, you can quickly write in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer. Any queries regarding the content which I have recap? Then I forgot to just revise the concept about Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm. Right? When we talk about a Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm, again, which is the combination of public key cryptography, right, which will be used to share the keys with the help of the public key cryptography. So this Diffie-Hellman key exchange will be used to generate a secret key, which will be used for both the encryption and decryption at the sender and receiver side. Rutika, disturb 5 minutes. Okay, so it's a secret key will be generated based on the public key cryptography concepts, right? So based on the common global parameters, sender will apply some formulas as well as receiver will apply some calculations. At the end, both the users, user A and then user B, will generate a key, right? So that will be same for the user A and then user B. So this Diffie-Hellman key exchange does not involve any sharing of secret keys. When we talk about a session key, secret key or symmetric key, that means that the key which is used for encryption, the same key which has to be used for decryption. The problem with this symmetric key encryption is that during the key transmission, there are chances that attacker or man in the middle, they can compromise the key. To avoid the loopholes, to overcome those issues, we are going with the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. In this, there is no exchange of keys. Instead, both the users, sender and receiver, they will do some calculation with the help of the public key cryptography concepts. At the end, the keys which has been generated by the both the users, user A and user B, will be the same, right? So this is how. So this is how the Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm which works. So in this session, we'll be discussing about another important concept, which is Elgamal digital signature algorithm. Now, what is meant by this digital signature? Before talking into that Elgamal specifically, I just need to give a little overview about what is this digital signature algorithm, or what is this digital signatures. Now, I just wanted to ask what is this authentication, which stands for? What is an authentication? What is an authentication? Authentication, anyone can quickly write in the chat box, or you can unmute and tell me the answer. What is an authentication? Very good, Anushka. Any other answers apart from Anushka? Verify the users. What else? What else we can say? Confirm the identity. Okay, good, good, good. Very good, very good. Then any other answers? Identification of authentic users, right? So here authentication is a process through which, right, the process which involves to identify whether the person who is sending the message, whether he is an authenticated users in that, whether he is the a sole user or whether he is an authorized users, right? So for example, I wanted to prove that I am Dr. A.K. Sampath. How that can be proved? How that can be authenticated means, again, I need to show some any document, right, which might be having my name as well as photo identity or any other proofs, right, which a document which consists of my name or my signature or my photograph. So these are the certain things through which I can authenticate myself to someone else, right, by showing the identity. Very similarly, when you talk about an authentications, right, when if there is a communication between these two users A and B, right, now the B wanted to make sure that the message is been received from the authenticated receiver. In that cases, how the authentication can be achieved? Say for example, if someone wanted to check that whether he is an authenticated user, how this can be achieved? So for example, the person, suppose if I wanted to log in, I wanted to start with the meeting. For that, I may need to log in with the Gmail account. The person who is entering the correct credentials, username and password, again that is one type of authentications, right? Also we discussed about the different ways through which, right, the authentication can be confirmed with the help of the different biometric authentications, fingerprint authentications, and then the voice sensor authentications, right? Similarly, authentication is something that whether the user is the authorized users to send the data, right? Whether he is an authenticated, whether the message is received from the authenticated users. So that is an authentication, right? Now, when you talk about a public key cryptography, how the authentication can be achieved means, if this user wanted to claim that the message or the message which has been transmitted, that has been transmitted by the actual sender. So for that, again we'll go back to the public key cryptography, and under that we discussed about two concepts. The first one is secrecy and confidentiality, right? And the second category, which is an authentication. Now this authentication can be achieved, right, with the help of that any data. Say for example, if user A and user B, A is the sender and B is the receiver. Now user A wanted to send a data, which is a plain text CM, let's assume, to the receiver B. Now this data has to be encrypted using public key cryptography. For that, the user A, if the user A uses its own private key for acronym is PRA. So this the entire data, M is the plain text, which has been encrypted using sender's private key and which has been converted into the ciphertext. Now the ciphertext is being transmitted through the network. Now the receiver will receive the ciphertext information, followed by the receiver will apply the decryption process. Now, in order to do the decryption process, what is the key which will be used for decryption here? Anyone can write in the chat box. What is the alternate key which will be used for decryption for the scenario which I am explaining right now? Understand that the data at the sender side has been encrypted using sender's private key. Now, what is the other or alternate key which will be used for decryption? Anyone? Anushka, receiver's public key. Receiver's public key. Okay, what else? Anyone? Anyone? Any other answers? Any other answer? Others? Whose public key? Okay. Okay, receiver's public key. How are you claiming the receiver's public key? Any other answers? Alia, you are correct. Aftaf, you are correct. Don't think it has to be, I explained multiple times that if you are using for encryption and the same user's alternate credential will be used for decryption. I'll explain a simple scenario. Here, sender's private key is used for, see here sender, yes, a 2 key, private key and public key. Very similarly, receiver will have a pair of key. One is private, the other one is public. Private key of A, private key of B. Sorry, public key of A, private key of B, public key of B. Right? Now here, in this scenario, in order to achieve authentication, in order to do authentications, user or the sender, he need to use his own private key. And what is the other key which is left at the sender side? So here sender's public key is remaining. So decryption will be carried out using sender's public key, which is PUA. Right? Now, the problem with this technique is that the public key of the sender, which can be known to all other users. I hope you can know that. Sorry for the disturbance, right? And when we talk about the authentication, so here the data is encrypted, sender's private key, the alternate key which is sender's public key. Now the sender's public key which will be used for decryption. The problem with this technique is that in public key cryptography, one uses public key which can known to all other users. If there are 5 users in a group, each user's public key can be known to all other users. That means that if anyone knows that if the data is coming from the user A and he can do the decryption, because in order to do the decryption, sender's public key will be used. Sender's public key to sabke paas rahega, so they can decrypt and they can read the message. So this does not provide confidentiality, right? So this provides only an authentication. To secure this, what we can do is that we can combine both these techniques, right? The message A, user A is sending a message first, which can be applied to the encryption using private key of A, and followed by which can be encrypted one more time using public key of B. What is this logic stands for? if you are doing multiple kinds of encryptions, double encryption, we studied about double encryption and then triple encryption and with the different types, right? And after double encryption, we'll get the ciphertext. Now this will be transmitted to the receiver. Once if the receiver receives this information, what he will do first, he will do the reverse of this first operation, which is decryption. Now to do the decryption, so here what is the alternate key which will be used for? Here the alternate key which is used for encryption is public key of B. So the decryption will be carried out using private key of B. By the way, so this achieves confidentiality because other than this receiver B, no one will know its private key or B's private key. So by the way, it achieves confidentiality. After that, again the intermediate ciphertext which has to be decrypted using the first encryption alternate key which is public key of A, and you will get the ciphertext, sorry, this plain text, right? So here I'd say that this encryption using private key of the sender and decryption using public key of the sender. So this will achieve authentication. One thing you need to remember is that any data or any information which has been encrypted using sender's private key, so that provides an authentication from whom the data is coming. Now this, when we talk about this part, data has been encrypted using receiver's public key and decryption using receiver's private key. So this achieves confidentiality or secrecy because other than receiver B, no one knows B's private key. Only he can able to read the message. By the way, it achieves both confidentiality as well as authentication. I hope now you are completely clear with the different terminologies which are related to the public key cryptography. Are you clear with this? If you are clear with this, we'll move on to the actual content of the session. I hope now you are clear with this, right? One thing you need to remember is that, right? Any encryption is carried out with any user's one key and the other remaining key of the same user which will be used for decryption, right? If sender's private key is used for encryption, sender's public key will be used for decryption. If receiver's public key is used for encryption, the same receiver's private key which will be used for decryption. This you need to be very careful, right? When you say the answers. I hope now it is clear. Give me a second, I'll share the screen again. I hope now we can see the screen which I have shared in the terms of PDF. Right. So this is a digital signature algorithm, which is Elgamal digital signature algorithm. I hope. Give me a second, I'll change the color. Right. Now, directly we'll start with our algorithm, right? Similarly, right, RSA, it is a one type of digital signature algorithm. This we can call it as a direct digital signature algorithm or direct digital signature standard, I would say that. Similarly, this is Elgamal digital signature algorithm, right? So this is also going to use a prime factors primality, right? The first step is that we are going to use p is the prime number, right? Where it lies, which ranges from 2 power l minus 1 and 2 power l, right? Which might be the multiples of 64. Right? So this algorithm will be capable of taking an input which is 2 power 512. Now we can imagine about that how much the prime number, right? It can work, right? So one thing when we talk about any public key cryptography system for easy understanding, and we are selecting a simple prime numbers for easy calculation. Actually, if you are taking a bigger prime numbers, right, your algorithm which will be more secure, right, as your prime factor or primality size, right? If prime number is big, accordingly your algorithm security will increase, right? Again, so first is the selecting of a prime number p, and the second one is the q, which is a prime divisor of p minus 1, right? If I'm any number which I'm selecting prime number, and q is a prime divisor of p minus 1, which is any value, right? So again, which may range from 2 power 115 and 2 power 160. So this could be a tentative range, right? So first p is a prime number, and now this is the prime divisor of p minus 1. And the third one is that, so this you can consider as a g or alpha. You can use either value alpha or g, which can be h power p minus 1 upon q and mod p. So now this is a simple formula through which, right, we can select h is any integer, and the only condition is that h should be greater than 1 and less than p minus 1, right? For it might be little confusing. Now when we are solving the problem, it will be more clear, right? I'll explain the theoretical explanation now, and maybe after this explanation I'll be explaining about with the mathematical step by steps, right? Through that you will get a more clarity on this. So for time being, right, you listen the equations, which is alpha is equal to h power p minus 1, which is the prime divisor, and upon a q, right? So here, which can be any number, right, which will be ranged from 1 to p minus 1, right? So after that, user can select. This is very similar to the differentiation algorithm, right? But there are some modifications in that. X is a random integer, right? Again, x should be less than q. Now, what is this? Ax is a private key. Private key of user, right? Private key of the sender, I could say that, right? And followed by, based on this x value, and they will be calculating the public key. Y is equal to g power x or alpha power x mod p. So what we studied in this Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm, anyone remember? Which is p comma alpha. What is this? Alpha is the primitive root. Now anyone can write in the chat box what is this primitive root. I explained multiple times about the primitive roots. First of all, the primitive root should be the GCD of the alpha, and p should be pi of the GCD between this alpha and p should be 1. That means that these two values should be the co-prime numbers. Co-prime are relatively prime. And when we talk about this alpha power 1, alpha power 2, alpha power 3 till alpha power p minus 1. So that will give a remainder again 1, 2 till p minus 1 only. So if the condition satisfied with this, then alpha will be considered as the primitive root of a p or q, whatever we selected. Similarly, right? So here, based on that, so once if you select XA, which is a private key, I am explaining with respect to the Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm. XA is the private key. Y is equal to alpha power XA mod q, if it is a q. The same formula which we are using right here, this G or alpha power X is the private key, mod P is the Q which we selected. So now this is Y will be the public key. I hope you are clear with this. Any doubts regarding these steps? This is a very simple step. We won't again explain it again. Any further explanations required? Okay, I am getting responses only from Aliyah. What about others? Shall I take you all understood with the concepts? Okay. So here, this is the step in which they are selecting a private key. Private key is X and public key is Y. So this is selected value, and the condition is that that should be less than Q. I hope you understood, right? The selection of Ex should be less than Q, and the public key which is alpha power Ax mod Q, right? So alpha is the primitive root, power Ax is the private key which we selected, and mod Q. So the same formula what we use in the Diffie-Hellman key access algorithm, and that will be used in order to calculate the public key. The public key which will be calculated. Apart from that, right? Okay. So once if the public key has been calculated, right, and followed by that, user uses per message secret number. So here they are going to select a k, which is any secret number. So this could be any pseudo random number, right? And also this should be less than q, right? It could be any integer number, and that could be less than a q. Once if all these values are selected, what are the values selected? P value, and then q minus 1 value, then alpha value, alpha or g, I'll use either, right? And followed by x or x of a, y or y of a, this is a public key, and followed by random number which is k. So based on these parameters, now we'll be doing a signature part, right? So sender will start applying the signature, and that signature information which are going to be transferred to the receiver. Now the signature part will be generating a two element which will be R and S. In order to generate an R, so what is the formula used here, which is G power K or alpha power K and mod P and mod Q. Right here, the entire mod operations are going to be carried out with respect to the Q value, which is P minus 1. I hope now it is clear, right? Alpha power K mod P and mod Q. So with the help of this formula, what is this alpha power K? Again, so this is based on this secret key. Now they are calculating a public key, right? So what is this alpha power any value? Mod P, which is public key. Right? Initially, I will be calculate a public key. Whatever the random value which is selected, x k value. So alpha power k again mod p. So this will generate a one more public key, right? And so again, so that will be applied to the mod q. So this will produce a component of r, and followed by another component s will be generated based on that. A K inverse is a multiplicative inverse of the value which we k selected. I'll be explaining this bit further, right? So this again, say for example, if any value which I'm selecting, say for example, if I'm selecting 5 value, k inverse or a multiplicative inverse is that I'm going to find out the number which may be some z, right? If I multiply this value with some other elements and followed by the modulus q, that should give the remainder value is equal to 1. Similarly, this is very similar how we did the reverse value, the inverse value in the affine cipher. How many of you remember the affine cipher that we use additive, right? We have added the values. If I selected 5, my x value ax plus b, if my x value is equal to 5, right? When I do the decryption, I need to use 26 minus 5 multiplied by x. This was the formula which we used, right? This is additive inverse. So here this is multiplicative inverse. I need to find out the value so that at the end of the mod operation I should get the remainder value, which should be 1. I should not deviate from the actual topic further, right? So I'll explain it so that you will get understand with the problems whenever you are solving, right? So here the formula which will be used for S component is that multiplicative inverse of K and H of M. So actually this is M is the plain text here. M is the plain text and